Folks, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Let the thing catch up. Make sure that I'm live. Can you all hear me? Hopefully it's all working fine. Assume it's all working fine. In a while since I've done a stream, I've been really busy. Really horrifically busy. But you know how it is. Everything's going really well. Though, I mean, so that's great. Can't complain about anything, really. Yes, the heat, like everyone else, it's hot, but I have AC, which you can probably hear behind me, but I'm not turning it off because it's just too damn hot, and this turns into an absolute hot box if I don't. The volume is very low. Let me see what I can do. And actually increase. Thing is, I'm not yelling yet. Right, that's too high. Right, how is that? That seems better. Yeah, so I'm not actually yelling yet, so I'm sure that when I am yelling, the volume will be unbearable. Shouldn't be muted. Should be fine. Good. Right, excellent. Hope you're doing well, chat. Rory, the editor of Islander, has gone to visit Canada temporarily, just a holiday to Canada. And he's arrived in Toronto, I think it is. He's just like, there are Indians everywhere. Just Indians, absolutely everywhere. What is going on? Well, it's quite high. It's more that this is a really small room, so without aircon, it'd be boiling. And it's insulated because the winters are worse. So let's talk about the Islamization of America, because a lot of Americans seem to think that Europe is like terribly far gone, but it's not that bad. And they also think that America is immune to this effect, but that's obviously not true either. So as you can see, a rough guess is there are 3.5 to 4.5 million Muslims in the United States. Now that is small. That represents just over 1%, 1.3% population. But I think a lot of Americans don't realize how small our Muslim populations are as well. In Britain, the Muslim population is about 6 to 7%. It's really, really small as well. It's just really, really concentrated in certain areas and given an undue amount of attention by the government, by the media, by the organizations, and they have a kind of cultural presence that stamps itself upon the land. Like, you don't really notice when you're like 7% Polish because the Poles aren't putting up weird alien-looking buildings that blare a call to prayer across the town. So it's not something you particularly notice. But it is with Islam because it's a very alien civilization. It's not a part of Western civilization. And it is imposing itself over it, particularly in the United States, but also, everywhere else. Because you've got to remember that free societies, being free, allow people to just do what the hell they want. And so if you have a large population of foreign people come to a country, well, they're going to do things that are most comfortable for them. They're going to do things that they find be pleasant. And so they'll congregate. They'll just... And it's... In fact, Oliver has just sent me a super chat, and this... Exactly the point, right? Brief note on Indians in Canada. Liberal government let in approximately 3 million people in 2 years, mostly Indian. And they all moved to Brampton, Ontario. That's the point, isn't it? The free society allows a person to move to wherever the hell they like. And if this is something we allow, then they will just organize and coordinate and say, well, why can't I just go to our Islam and go best cities in America for Muslims? And you get some great responses. I live 35 minutes from Chicago. Huge populations of Muslims here. Alhamdulillah. Many big Islamic masjids, which are schools, religious schools, halal food and all. Alhamdulillah, we have 2 to 3 Friday prayers. It's always packed. Alhamdulillah. Beside that, I personally haven't seen any racism or some. People are pretty good in my area. There's people like Tonga, Mexico, Ukraine, where I live. Everyone's quite nice. Oh, that's brilliant. Bismillah, in fact. From what I've been told, many have an experience. You want to preserve your iman and progress Islamically, as well as provide as much of an Islamic environment as possible in the US. Chicago is one of the places to be. Oh. So if you want to preserve an Islamic environment, go to Chicago, says the Muslim community in America. But, oh, okay. That's very interesting. There's a good concentration of striving Muslims. Many have said that wearing a niqab or wearing a thobe in these areas is very easy, which is often a sign that the environment is conducive to progression Islamically. As in, they are setting up Islamic colonies in these areas, and they recognize them to be Islamic colonies. This is a process that is going on in America right now. They are not integrating. They are not coming over and going, yay, America, wave American flags and eat a giant rack of pork ribs, right? They're not becoming Americans. They are staying as Middle Easterners, and they are colonizing these areas, and this is them describing that. It's also good for kids to see you can be openly Muslim with little to no societal prejudice. Oh, well, there we go. That's just brilliant. Northern Virginia, close to Washington, D.C., super diverse, and many Muslims here from all over the world. Great news. I personally like Virginia. Houston has a huge Muslim population, but Houston is just depressing and an inconvenient city in my opinion. Northern Virginia is one of the best areas for Muslims in America. Masjid and halal food everywhere. Our school system even gives all the students off for Eid, not just Muslims. It's a very clean and prosperous area. Oh, that's just brilliant, isn't it? Or the school system gives all the students Eid, as if all of the students were Muslims. That's just so progressive, so diverse, so inclusive. Dearborn, Michigan, we'll get back to in a minute. Dallas is great. A lot of influential sheiks. Kalam Institute is here and it's a massive growing city with a diverse population with tons of Muslims around. More specifically, the Irving, Plano, and Frisco areas. I had no idea. Buffalo, New York is wonderful. This is really interesting, isn't it? They have a fantastic and welcoming Muslim community with easily accessible halal food and takeout. Not too expensive to live there. Nobody is going to mention New York City. Very large Muslim population of around 750,000. Christ, 275 mosques. Sorry, American bros. Like, this is happening to you too. You understand the cultural formatting of your country is happening because these people are allowed to all move to the same areas in these cities. Often they'll be quite small areas, but trust me, this will continue to grow. And they're allowed to build the Islamic civilization that they want where they are. They're just allowed to do this. And so this is something that they do. And you can see that they're quite happy to tell you precisely where it is that they've been, how Muslim it is, and how convenient it is for them. I mean, exactly the place, like down to the neighborhood sometimes. And so you get like Little Mogadishu, which is the Cedar Riverside area of Minneapolis. Now, this is a small community, right? There's only 9,000 people. But man, definitely does look like Little Mogadishu, doesn't it? It's like, okay, it's only 9,000 at the moment, sure. But there are like 1.5 billion Muslims around the world who are going to happily move to America because you'll let them, basically. And this is just so fascinating. Because this is a deeply Muslim area, and it's very noticeable in the reporting on it, right? Because you can see that this is a very glowing report of this, right? And even then, they say things like they go to somewhere called Somali Starbucks, where crowds of Somali men clustered together at tables, greeting one another with handshakes and hugs. They sipped coffee and tea, chatting in their native language, their laughter and animated voices echoing off the walls. Right, because they're not integrating. Now, it used to be, right, when European migrants went to America in the early 20th century, I've heard so many stories of people who've grown up and said, look, my parents forbade speaking the old language at home. Had to speak English in the home. because we'd come here to be Americans. These people have not come here to be Americans. They've come here to be Somalians in America. There's a reason that Ilhan Omar, when she says, quote, our president, she's talking about the president of Somalia, whatever that's supposed to mean. as if that's a thing. Not Donald Trump, not the president of the United States, right? This is just a completely normal thing for them, and they don't understand why they should integrate into your culture, right? They don't understand that that's an expectation or requirement of them. It's not something they want to do. They are just quite happy being Somalians in a different location. And you get this all the time. And again, this is meant to be favorable reporting, but like, it's kind of crazy how they'll just say, well, you know, everyone knows you here because you're all from Somalia and it's a tight-knit community. Anyway, so they obviously change the area. You know, they make it different. I mean, they don't have bars, as they point out here, so the Starbucks opens until 11 p.m, which is just great. And then you get, like, festivals there, which... That's the Somalian flag, by the way, I believe. Is this the future of America, right? Is this the future that Americans want? Because this is the future that is happening. This is the present that is happening right now. And it is the future that you will get. And the thing is, there are already American examples of how this is going to play out. This is something you really have to start thinking about. This is really something, yeah, Somalians, of course, don't like it. Exactly right. But again, that was a puff piece, right? They're like, oh, yeah, the Somalians love everyone. Yeah, sure they do, bro. But this is the future of the United States. It's balkanized ethnic communities with their own languages, their own cultural areas, their own traditions, their own histories. I didn't tell you to keep reading. And their own sense of old world self. They're not here to be Americans. I mean, I don't know what further proof you would need that these people are not here to be Americans. They're clearly there to be Somalians. Anyway, so let's go to Dearborn, Michigan, which is the first Arab majority city in the United States. That is a hell of a picture, isn't it? There's a reason I use that for the thumbnail, man. Because that is just a hell of a picture. Like, I don't know, man. There's something about this that spiritually upsets me. I mean, it's bad enough when it's over here, right? It's bad enough when it's over here. But at least over here, we are an old world nation. At least we have a historical, like, interaction with Islam, even if it's crusading against it. What do you guys have? You know, oh, we fought the Barbary pirates for a few years. It's like, you guys should have nothing to do with Islam. And yet, here we are, the American flag in front of a giant mosque. Biggest mosque in America, I hear, actually. So, isn't that nice? Aren't you thrilled to have that, Americans? Like, this is... I just find this mental. So, I mean, obviously, this area, they say... that look, there's 110,000 people in the city, and most of them are Arabs. No surprise that you get the largest mosque in North America. I can't believe you've outdone Canada on that one. The Canadians must be seething. Absolutely seething. It's one of the few US cities whose mayor is both a Muslim and an Arab, and the first US city to make Eid a paid holiday. Why? Why would that be the case? Is that typically American? Is that what Americans do? Americans celebrate Eid, don't they? Paid holiday on Eid. The school kids go off on Eid, whether they're Muslim or not. And of course, in Dearborn, Michigan, they celebrate that as a paid holiday as well. The city employees. That's very interesting. What have I done there? It's very, very interesting. And it's also one of the only handful of places in the country where the Islamic Adhan, the call to prayer, is allowed to be broadcast from the mosque's loudspeakers. Right, so across Dearborn, Michigan, they go, Allah, and whatever. I don't know how it goes. But I mean, is this the country you want? Is this what immigration was meant to be? Is this what being an American is? Is this something that is just normal in America now? I mean, it seems to be. Like, just saying, you can say, oh, look at the state of Europe. Look at the state of Dearborn, Michigan, mate. I don't think that many mosques actually do that here. I think in Cardiff, weirdly enough, where there are barely any Muslims. But this is your future, because this is what your present is, and this will continue to carry on. It is, as one local told me, the motherland away from the motherland. So, again, I don't know how much more crystal clear can we make it that these people have not come to America to be Americans. Because I know Americans pride themselves on their integrationist ethos. And honestly, there's something really to be said for it. You can understand why Americans would be proud of such an ethos. They would say, you come over here, you adopt American values, live an American lifestyle, and we will accept you as Americans because this is the new world and this is how things are done in the new world. Okay, that's great. But what happens when they don't do that? When they come over to your country, they don't integrate, they don't learn the language, they retain their own languages, they retain their own religions, they impose their old religions on American cities, and then call it, quote, the motherland away from the motherland. Do you then say, okay, you're not Americans? Because I don't think these people are. Honestly. Like, this is not American people in America. These are Muslim people, Arabs, who have moved here to recreate Arabia in their own words. Like, I don't know what else I would call it. That's what's happening here, right? And so you've just got this very interesting article here where they just talk about how, it was founded originally by, Germans or something. And then it started just becoming more Islamized. And that has carried on and carried on and carried on. I mean, is this normal? I don't even know what these are. Is this something that just people from the Midwest eat? I don't even know what she's making. But what does it tell us? No, it doesn't. I don't know. Full? Is that a traditional American cuisine? Maybe fatar. Fatar tahini. Maybe that's traditional American cuisine. Oh, baklava. That's definitely American. The Mediterranean's one dessert. So you just see, you got a giant mosque. Oh, that's nice. Isn't that nice? The Arab American National Museum, in fact. Not even a giant mosque. Just a museum of Arabs and Muslim stuff in America. Oh, that's great. It's also run by Muslims, right? So, this is Hamtramck. Sorry. Let's go on to Hamtramck then. Because this, again, it's just... Sorry, we'll go back to Dearborn. It's because there was something... I can't remember what it was offhand. But look at this. Faith is a central part of life for many Dearborn's Arab American residents. But that's not the whole story. No, it's just a huge aspect of their personalities is being a Muslim, right? Like, being a Muslim is the thing that they find to be most important about themselves. And so it's just like, right, okay, so you've allowed these people in, you've allowed them to go wherever they want, you've allowed them to set up the icons and infrastructure of their own country to replicate the culture of their own country. And they don't seem to care about any kind of objection to this. They don't seem to feel any obligation to integrate. It's the motherland away from the motherland. Right? There's no particular incentive or cultural pressure on them to become American, to integrate, to become like you. And you see this in Hamtramck in Michigan as well. So this is actually not very far away. So you're getting a nice sort of couple of good Muslim colonies. So, of course, Dearborn, majority Arab. This one is also majority Muslim. So it's very diverse. But it's only got 28,000 people. So it's not that big. But they've elected an all-Muslim city council and a Muslim mayor, becoming the first in the US to have a Muslim American government. Well, they're just a Muslim government, right? There's nothing American about this. These people are just Muslims who have come to the United States to colonize it with Islam, to Islamify the areas that they've moved to. They're not changing their old behaviors, they're just bringing them with them. And the thing is, you can hardly even blame them, right? You go to a foreign country, and like this is a common complaint that the left make. Oh, Brits in Spain don't make any effort to integrate. I agree, they don't. Do something about it. If Spain wants to kick all the Brits out, or say, look, you are going to learn Spanish and eat paella, or else we eject you, go nuts. Like, they have no right to live in Spain. Them living in Spain is a privilege that is extended to them by the Spanish people. Or like, in the south of France, there are a lot of Brits as well, a lot of Scots, apparently. Like, if you are not happy with the way that they are not integrating into your local culture, deal with it. Do something about it. And like, if you want to send them home, send them home. It's your country. And I think that actually in England, in America, you could have the same sort of cultural requirements. And the thing is, it's not like America hasn't done this before. Right? Back in the times of George Washington, there was a real fear of the Germanization of the United States, because so many German migrants were coming over, there had to be a specific sort of cultural process of Anglicization over these German communities. Sorry. Hay fever. Over these German communities, to make sure that they did begin to integrate and not just become German colonies on American soil. Well, the same thing is probably going to happen again, isn't it? Because otherwise, you just end up with the motherland away from the motherland. I'm sorry, I don't think that's acceptable. That was never on the table, right? When they were like, yeah, we're just going to allow millions of Arabs and Muslims to come into the country, and what they're going to do is set the motherland away from the motherland. People are like, yeah, that's why I'm voting for this. Like, that was never on the table. That was never what was voted for. And it's always been expected that America, okay, let's assume the best faith interpretation of the concept of the melting pot, right? So everything has to come in and melt into the majority culture, and any like nice things that people like will be retained. The foods, maybe the odd ethnic word to describe things, but they won't just set up their own sort of individual areas, right? They would integrate, and that's just not happening. It's just not happening. And so now you have an all-Muslim city council and a Muslim mayor, right? So, and I love this. Once faced with discrimination, Muslim residents have become integral to this multicultural city and now make up more than half its population. They've taken over. And they've elected all Muslims because they've voted along sectarian lines. Right? They've done that here. That's why we've got the 4 Gaza MPs, who are just Muslims in Muslim communities, where they've all congregated to this one particular area, and they're just like, right, okay, well, we're just going to vote for a Muslim now. We don't need to vote for a Labour Party member. We can vote for an independent Muslim, and in the next election we'll have an actual Muslim party that ends up controlling areas of this country. You're going to get the same. You are going to get exactly the same as the Muslim population of America increases. Don't think that this isn't going to be any different. Don't get me wrong. In America, it's a bigger place. It's probably going to happen slower, but it's still going to gradually happen. Like water pouring down a rock. You'll find it wearing away year by year. And suddenly you'll find more Dearborn, Michigans, more Hamtramck, Michigans. You'll find more of this, more little Mogadishus springing up. And it's just inevitable, right? Again, they talk about how this used to be a German town, but winning 68% of the vote. Right, okay, well, we know what population of the town is now Muslim, right? 68%, because they voted for their guy, and other people didn't vote for their guy, probably. And so the city council is 2 Bengali Americans, 3 Yemeni Americans, and a Polish American convert to Islam. I just don't see how this is allowed. This guy was born in Yemen and now holds political power in the United States. I just don't think that should be permitted either, right? I think that people who are born overseas should be ineligible for political office in the country that they've moved to. Like, if I moved to a foreign country, I think it would be baffling if I was allowed to gain political power. That would be baffling. Especially, I mean, okay, it'd be one thing like if I moved to wherever, Greece or whatever, I learned Greek, married a Greek woman, became immersed in Greek politics, and then got elected by Greek people to do things on their behalf. Okay, fine. It's weird, but okay, it's not the end of the world. Like, at least I'm still working for Greek people, right? But no, he's a Yemeni Muslim, moves to America, to a large Muslim community, and then they just systematically vote in Muslims to take control of the city. And now, it's just a Muslim city. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's not like 100% Muslim, but it's like, sort of a Lebanon situation where it's just like now the Muslims control everything, and they're going to make sure that everything gets Islamized. And if you don't like that, you can just suck it, is going to be the way that it works. And I love that they admit that this is not about integration, right? Rather than being a melting pot or salad bowl, Hamtramck is more like a 7-layer cake, where the different groups retain their distinct cultures while closely coexisting with each other. People are still proud of their cultural specificity, of their culture specifically, whereas if it's assimilation, we would lose the uniqueness. Yes, that's the point. You are supposed to integrate. The whole point of, the melting pot is that you're meant to integrate. And now that's not even happening. Now it's like, no, we're setting up barriers. This is our culture, that is your culture, and it just so happens there's more of us than there are of you, so now you get a exclusively Muslim city council. It just, that is not an acceptable outcome to immigration, right? That shouldn't be what you should be allowing to happen, and yet here we are. These people are just allowed to continue their old world customs in your country, as if your country isn't really a country, as if it's just free space for them to move into and set up shop. Brilliant. She points out, this Polish convert, Amanda, she points out this isn't Disneyland. We do have conflicts. Yeah, no kidding you have conflicts. No kidding, right? For example, friction arose in 2004 following a vote to broadcast the Islamic call to prayer in public. Some residents have argued that a ban on bars near mosques hurts the local economy. Could you get a more Islamic concern, right? There is nothing more Islamic than this, and this is the imposition of Islam and Sharia on areas of America. Right? Why the fuck would you allow a public Islamic call to prayer being broadcast? Like, if 32% of the town aren't Muslim, why should they have that imposed upon them? It's like, well, the Muslims want it. So fucking what? That's... They're not dhimmis, are they? They're not paying the jizya, are they? Why is it that there should be a ban on bars near mosques? If they don't like it, they should fuck off. They should go back to where they came from, but instead, because they can vote themselves political power, they will just say, no, you're just banned. The city has banned you from having a bar there, so move your business. This is an Islamic area. This is no longer allowed, and you don't get a choice. Brilliant. This is, again, it couldn't be any more explicit as colonization than it actually is. What else would you need? Like, what else would you need to say that you are being colonized by Islam? I don't know what more you would have to argue that that's the case. Remember her, by the way, because this Amanda Jakowski, like, honestly, there's something about Polish people converting to Islam that offends me, and I'm not Polish. But love this. There was even speculation that a Muslim-controlled city council might impose Sharia law. Yeah, that's why they banned the bars near the mosques. That's what that is. Like, what do you think that they're doing when they do that? Oh, but people roll their eyes at all this kind of talk. Yeah, they just don't go to the bars near the mosques as they've been closed. Absolutely mad. Absolutely mad. And so, again, you can see this is quite a long article talking about it. But it's entirely in their favour. It's entirely a puff piece. And as if this is a good thing, as if this is the future of the United States, and that's how it should be, is women in burqas, or veils, or whatever they call them. I don't care. I don't care what they call them. But this is what American cities look like. 2021. 2024 when this one was written. And the thing is, you get exactly what you'd expect. Now, I hate to be like, I don't, it's not like based Muslims, right? But it's really, really funny that we told you when you vote for the Leopards Eating Faces Party, you've got to be shocked. You're not allowed to be shocked when the leopards then eat your face, right? If you vote for mass immigration and a bunch of Muslims come over and they vote themselves political power, don't be shocked when those people then say, fuck your LGBTQ bullshit. This is banned. We are not having this. We are not having any of this woke nonsense because this is now an Islamic city. This is a Sharia-controlled city. We are going to have the call to prayer blasting out of the mosques. We're not going to have any pubs anywhere near any of the mosques, and we won't have any of your gay pride flags. This is all over. That's all done. And we're not going anywhere because you've got literally no way of getting rid of us. So we're staying here. And so many liberal residents in Hamtramck, Michigan celebrated their city, attracted international attention in 2015, becoming the first in the United States to elect a Muslim-majority city council. They viewed the power shift and diversity as a symbolic but meaningful rebuke to the Islamophobic rhetoric that was a central theme of then Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign. This week, many of those same residents watched in dismay as a now fully Muslim and socially conservative city council passed legislation banning pride flags from being flown on city property, and had, like many others being flown around the country, been intended to celebrate the LGBTQ community. Well, Muslim residents packing City Hall erupted in cheers after the council's unanimous vote. And on Hamtramck's social media pages, the taunting has been relentless. I'm not going to read any of those things because I am on YouTube and I don't get in trouble. But there we go. You voted for it. You brought the people in. And they did what they can within lawful democratic system. And now it's an F-less city, according to one local. In a tense monologue before the vote, council member Mohammed Hassan shouted his justification at LGBTQ plus supporters. I'm working for the people, what the majority of the people like. You get what you fucking deserve, right? You chose this. I love this as well. While Hamtramck is still viewed as a bastion of multiculturalism. Oh, it is. It is a majority Muslim culture, and then various little dimmies who have to pay their taxes to the local city council to publicly fund the broadcast of the call to prayer probably, and to make sure that things are sufficiently Islamic. Look at this. Karen Majowski. I wonder, that's different to Amanda, isn't it? Where was Amanda? Oh, that was in Dearborn. It was Amanda. I wonder, is it the same surname? I wonder if they're sisters. Where is she? Amanda Jakowski and Karen Majowski. Right, okay. I'm not Eastern European. But there's a sense of betrayal, said the former mayor Karen Majowski, who's Polish-American. We supported you when you were threatened. Now our rights are threatened, and you are the ones doing the threatening. Fucking hell. Who's got the scorpion on the frog's back meme? Crossing the pond with just lol lamau on it. You had this coming. This is exactly what you should have expected, and exactly what the Republicans would have warned you about. And sorry, but you get stung. This is what you get, right? And again, just absolutely bonkers. By 2013, largely Muslim Bangladeshi and Yemeni immigrants supplanted white Eastern Europeans, though the city, of course, has significant minority populations. And so, right, okay, this is what you get. This is just what you get. You decided to vote for this, they decided to take over, and now you just don't get any of these things. The resolution also prohibits the display of flags with ethnic, racist, and political views. I bet they're flying a Palestine flag there, right? Let me see if I can have a look. I've got a couple of things. They voted to rename a street in support of Palestine, because why couldn't they? Like, the city council are entirely Muslim. So why can't they name Holbrook Street Palestine Avenue? Why can't they do that? Right? Did they put a Palestine flag up on City Hall? That's the question. See if I can find a... I can only find the street. But that's lovely. That's just lovely. Palestine Street. That's what Hamtramck needs. Palestine Street. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, unsurprisingly, there's a sense of betrayal here. Because you get what you fucking deserve. Right? And I love this. Outside right-wing agitators have been pushing for a ban on the social media pages. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, the outside right-wing agitators predicted the future correctly. And now you are feeling the force of being so goddamn stupid. Like the heat maps of the in-group, out-group preferences. Well, I like it when they get what they asked for, right? Like, the sentiment is that there is an erasure of the queer community in an attempt to shove queer people back in the closet. Yeah, pretty much. And the thing is, that's the best place that you're going to get shoved into. Like... like, you could be shoved in or off worse places by the Muslim community, right? Like, in their own countries, they're not very tolerant, is all I'm saying. But yeah, so there's that. But also, I cannot but notice, in 2022, it became the first American city to have an all-Muslim government. And then it has an all-male government as well. So now, you don't get any diversity of any other people living in Hamtramck. But you also don't have any women on it, right? Because you voted for patriarchy. You voted to bring in patriarchy. And the patriarchy is like, okay, well, we're a foreign patriarchy. We're not going to integrate into America or American values at all. And now we're just going to start doing what the fuck we like. And now women aren't in government at all. None of your gay pride flags. And call to prayer, no bars, and shut the fuck up. Try and outvote us. Because we vote along sectarian, ethnic, and, well, like ethno-religious lines. So all of the Muslims are going to just vote for the Muslim men, and you're never going to beat us. Because there are always going to be more of them coming over than you. Right? I love this. It does not reflect the city's makeup. Well, that's too bad, isn't it? That's too damn bad. Now, you have a Muslim colony that is governed by Muslims, and they don't care. Anyway, recently, thousands of Muslims gathered in Times Square, New York, to pray. Let's watch.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Did I see a French flag back here? Yeah, I guess that's the country they came from originally. But seriously, though, if this doesn't boil your blood, then what will? Because, I mean, this is a statement of dominance, right? They do this in Europe, obviously. Mass congregate in the street to dominate the local culture with their call to prayer. They've got mosques, they could go to them, but they don't want to. They want to do it in the middle of the street. I mean, look how, like, you know, just, like, it's so much in your face, and it's rubbing it in your face, and they know that it's rubbing it in your face. And anyway, like they said, there's 750,000 Muslims in New York, so New York is going to elect a Muslim mayor, right? This is that Zohran Mamdani guy. And I don't love it, but what I find really interesting about this is just how the street food is just being colloquially called just halal. It's just halal. It's just halal food. You now eat Islamic food in New York, and you just call it. It's time to make halal $8 again. Oh, it's just street food, right?
New York is suffering from a crisis, and it's called halalflation. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of this. How much does a plate of halal cost right now from this truck?
Just a plate of halal. Like, no one in England says that. And that's not something we would say here.
$10.
$10.
Chicken over rice, lamb over rice, $10.
$10?
Yeah.
When you're a street vendor, you have to pay for the food, the plates. How much do you have to pay for your permit?
Before it was 22.
God, that's a lot of money as well. So anyway, just get a,
Give these vendors their own permits and make your halal more affordable. But Eric
I want my
Adams
halal
hasn't
to be
said
more
a
affordable.
single word about them. If you own the permit, then how much would you charge for the plate?
$7, $8.
$8.
Would you rather pay $10 for a plate of halal or $8?
Sorry, you're not fucking Muslim. Oh, it's just a plate of halal, bro. Like, it's entering into the New York lexicon that street food is just a plate of halal. Like, again, what more would you need to show the Islamification of these areas than the normal adoption of Islamic food standards, right? Because for anyone who doesn't know, halal food is meat that has been killed in a particularly religious way, frankly, that is quite barbaric. They slit its throat while saying prayers over it, and it just bleeds out. There are much more humane ways of executing animals these days. But this is doubtless how it was done in the time of the Prophet, so there we go. And they just, yeah, halal food, yeah, I eat that all the time because I'm an American. Like, oh, okay, yeah.
$8.
I think $8 is the way to go.
If I was the mayor, I'd be working with city council from day one to make halal $8 again.
So, how would it pay?
That's a vote winner. That's an absolute vote winner. Anyway, like I said, Americans actually have options, right? You can ban the burqa. Lots of Muslim countries, lots of European countries have banned the burqa, including the ones that you generally, like France and Germany, where you're the ones who are like, oh, what are they doing in Europe? When you're talking about in France and Germany, or possibly Italy, they've all banned the burqa, so you could do that too. Like, I mean, you've probably got constitutional rules that were written in a time when there was 0% Muslim, like 95% Anglo or German in America, or Scandinavian, whereas like, well, we don't need those. We want freedom of religion over us. Oh well, good luck with the future. You might remember Trump's Muslim ban back in 2017. Well, he's done a new one for 2025, right? Which there has some key differences, as the BBC tells us, and the policy now is designed to avoid the same pitfalls. So this is a scaled back version. No, where are we? So there are 12 countries subject to the harshest restrictions from June the 9th, mainly in the Middle East, Africa, and the Caribbean, including Afghanistan, Iraq, and Somalia. Right, so it's good. There will be partial restrictions on travellers from 7 other countries, including Cuba and Venezuela. And Trump said the restrictions will be graded against the severity of the perceived threat, including terrorism. But beside Iran, none of the 12 countries hit by the outright ban are named on the US government's state sponsors of terrorism list. Right, so Trump is at least looking at this and going, right, we don't really want very many more Muslims, right? However, Egypt is not on the list. Now, Egypt's a very interesting thing because it's awful. Like, this is Cairo from above, man. It looks like a hive city. Like, can you imagine living in a place like this? It's just unbelievably densely packed. Now, Egypt has 100 million people and can't feed itself. It's not a wealthy country. And if you had an incentive to leave a country like Egypt, you would absolutely take it, right? And there's not really much stopping them from going to the United States. For some reason, Egypt's not on there. No idea why. But at least Trump is trying to do something, but it needs to be very conscious. And this will probably get overturned when the next Democrat comes in. So you'd better be paying attention to this, Republicans. Don't rest on your laurels, right? I imagine the next presidential candidate for the Republicans will probably be Vance. Now, that's good because I like Vance. But is it guaranteed that he's going to win? Is he a shoo-in? Right? It was obvious that Trump was going to win, but it's not obvious to me that Vance could win. But anyway, I don't want to go off on a big tangent on this. But the point being is, you need to be paying attention to this now. I say this as someone from England. We didn't pay attention to this. And at 7% of the population, we are feeling the effects of it. In other countries, France has got a larger Muslim population than us, and they're really feeling the effects of it. So you might think, oh, it's only like 1 or 2%. What are you talking about? Yeah, well, you're already feeling the effects of it. You're already seeing it in certain areas. And this will carry on. Don't be complacent on the subject. Right? This is something that will continue if you don't consciously choose not to become an Islamic country. Go through some super chats. Call it a night 'cause it's late. This is the third thing I've done today. Working really, really long hours these days. I'm not complaining, obviously, but like, man, am I tired. I'll be on the podcast tomorrow. So, and it should be a good one as well. Charlie says, mother worked in the local hospital. Before retiring, most of the nurses were African, Malaysian, and Indian. She is convinced they will kill someone due to incompetence and never set foot in there. Well, there's that. I mean, there was also the example from the other day of a Nigerian nurse who killed an old guy by like throwing him to the floor, and like a week later he died. And so it's just like great. Magnum says, we deport the non-desirables unlike the UK. Well, I mean, technically we do deport people. It's just not that many. At least you have the Trump administration and Stephen Miller, who wants to, and like, you can say what you like about the big, beautiful spending bill, but what was it? I saw a post by a leftist online a minute ago, right? I don't think that we're talking enough about how this big, dumb, ugly bill expands ICE by a factor of 20, 2.2 billion to 45 billion. That's 20 times more agents, 20 times more arrests, plus illegal detention centers. Man, I wish we had that here. So, good stuff. But the issue isn't illegals. The issue is legals. Legally coming. Now, like I said, Trump is doing something about this, so that is good. But do not get complacent. This is not something you can just relax about. Yi says, heard you want a super chat? Here you go. Oh, thank you very much. Frankel says, notice the recent Mahmoud versus Taylor case about LGBT plus in schools. US conservatives are celebrating this was a Muslim asserting that schools can't undermine Islam. Yes, and we've had the same issue here where the Muslim dads in Birmingham won against their local council. It's Jess Phillips, I think it was, about teaching LGBTQ nonsense. And they're just like, no, it's not going to have it. The rest of us are going to have it, but their kids won't. So it's like, oh, brilliant. So Islam gets to be the supreme law in these areas, and the rest of us just get to live under woke. But yeah, this is the issue. Like, I think that, I mean, I don't know. I used to think that woke was going to defeat Islam, but man, I've seen a few examples now where Islam has defeated woke straight out, and the Muslims are pretty uncompromising. So maybe it won't. Axie says, the American WASP worldview has been completely vindicated. They were correct the whole time. Yeah, they were. And the thing is, the WASPs should never have relinquished power in the United States. There's no reason that they should have done. It's not right that they should have done. The United States is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant country, or historically always had been. Why wouldn't immigrants to America expect it to be a WASP country? To have a WASP aristocracy, to have WASP rulers? Like, why would that be unusual or unexpected, right? But for some reason the WASPs were like, well, I guess we're racist, so I guess we'll just let Catholics be in charge now. Cogbjorn says, I love how all the people in my country who can prevent this are either too spineless to do anything or actively helping it to begin with. Yeah, but it's the same in mine, so don't worry. I'm not trying to point fingers. And it's easy for Americans to get very defensive on this, but there's no point saying, oh, we'll rise up or something like that, because there's nothing to rise up against, right? There's no invading army what you would be doing is, if you're going to, we've all got guns. Yeah, so what? You're not going to go and slaughter a bunch of women and children, and nor should you, obviously. Do not go and slaughter women and children. I shouldn't have to say that. But the point is, there's no invading, occupying force of armed men who are imposing Islam. It's all going to be done through the ballot box, and you will have voted in the same election that everyone else voted for, and you will just be outvoted. The general will reveal that Islam is the general will's purpose in Dearborn and Hamtramck. You will just be outvoted. You'll be like, right, okay, I guess we're an Islamic country now. Yeah, in those areas, you certainly are. A little boy says, have you heard of Muhammad Ali or Malcolm X? They were black Americans who converted to Islam. I have, of course, heard of them. Yes, I know that they are black Americans who converted to Islam. That was really more of a sort of spiritual resistance to the white Christian man, I think. Not because they particularly loved the Islamic takeover of America. And the thing is, I mean, I don't know much about them, their Islamic bona fides, but I can't help but feel that, this is back in the 70s and the 60s. So I can't help but feel that things are a little bit different then. And really, it's kind of a, oh, I'm different. I'm not worshipping the white man's God, right? Rather than I want burqas everywhere. Magnum says, America is a gigantic place with a bunch of corn boys who never forgot their history, so I don't think that random people in dem cities can take us over. Again, you think this will be armed conflict, but what I have already shown you didn't require any armed conflict, and yet Sharia is being imposed in Dearborn or Hamtramck, right? You are not going to fight these people, right? You are going to vote, they're going to vote, and they will just slowly but surely begin to outnumber you in localized areas, and they will just outvote and outvote and outvote. And you will find yourself like the British and like the English in England, where we are, because Americans are so quick to just, oh, I don't like this, I'm just going to move away. It's like, oh, okay, well then someone else will take it over, right? Someone else is going to have that. And so, I see, even now I see Republicans saying, oh, we should just give California to Canada. It's like, what? Are you mental? Like, shouldn't you be taking their territory rather than persistently on the retreat? It's not about us being too polite. It's about our governments allowing an alien culture to engage in our own political system, which is what they're doing in your country. You've got to understand, you're never going to pick up a rifle against just women and children pushing, the prams around, and nor should you ever, obviously. They're going to engage in the system because they're being treated as if they're part of the system, whereas you have to vote against their presence in the United States. Again, Donald Trump's doing a half-decent job at the moment, but man, he's only got 4 years, right? Or 3.5 or whatever it is now, right? He's not here forever, and you need to think about this in the long term, because they'll wait you out. They're not going anywhere. Like, Egypt's not going to become any less of a fucking slum-filled hive city that millions of people are desperate to escape, right? That's not going to change. The only thing that's going to change is your border policy. So be warned. Right? Bullcraft says the Hart-Celler Act of 1965 changed everything in America. Let me chat GPT that. Not familiar with that one. Oh, it's the Immigration and Nationality Act. Right, okay. I am familiar. I didn't know the actual legal name of it. But yeah, the key provisions: ended national origins quota, prioritized immigration from North and Western Europe, severely restricted immigration from Asia, Africa, and parts of Southern and Eastern Europe. Honestly, that's the only way. That's what you need to return to, right? An immigration policy. Just repeal that act, basically. Just completely repeal that act. Cogbjorn says, the melting pot and its consequences have been disastrous for Western civilization. Yeah, but if you have to have immigration, and you have had lots of immigration, at least the idea of a melting pot gives an avenue for them to become more like you than not. Okay, it's not ideal to have a bunch of immigrants move to your country, but at least the idea that, the common consensus is they've got to learn the language, they've got to start adopting the customs and celebrating the national holidays and letting the old world go. That is at least preferable to just setting up Islamic colonies, banning bars, and blasting the call to prayer. Right? Everyone's just sitting around speaking Arabic. It's way more preferable to have the melting pot. But even that's fallen away now. Even the melting pot has gone at this point. Larry says, as a southerner, the soul of the South must return in full. We have the best traditions and values to meet the problems of today. Yeah, they do. I think you do, actually. I'm obviously an honorary self-declared southerner. I had a Texas barbecue today. There has been a side tangent. I posted a picture. I went to a Texas barbecue today. I posted a picture and put it on Twitter. And everyone was like, oh, you're in America. It's like, no, but that's how good this Texas barbecue is. That you saw a picture of the food and you're like, oh, that's American. Right, you're in the South. It's like, no, it's just a really good Texas barbecue in England that's set up. Which I have to say, I really did enjoy. We got a plate of it's quite expensive, but like a plate of everything. And it came with some cornbread. And I was like, brilliant. I'd never had cornbread until when I went over, was it earlier this year or last year? And so, get my wife to try cornbread, and it was as good as the stuff I'd had in Texas as well. So, just saying, it's actually very impressive. I can't remember the name of it now. Shout it out. But I'm sure it's like the only one in Swindon. But yeah, no, the Southern culture is at least more structured than the Northern culture. It's got more taut tendons. If that makes sense. But I like the Southern culture in the United States, I've got to say. Philip says, like all people, they want to be of their own kind. The difference is their values aren't based in Judeo-Christian origins, very different values. I don't really recognize Judeo-Christian as a thing. I think Jewish values are different to Christian values. I'm not making a judgment on that either. I just do think that they are different. And you are right that the Muslims have very different values to them. So I agree with that. Magnum says, here's $10 to Carl to move to a random country in Africa and run for office. The thing is, most countries in Africa don't have running for office, right? What they have are nepotistic families who rig elections and shoot their opponents. And the African states are run like mafia states, right? If I'm not a part of the various tribes there, and I'm not a part of a family that runs the tribe, like the head family of the tribe, so I'm not getting anywhere in African politics. I'm not getting anywhere in English politics. But Magnum says, love the Lotus Eaters. Good. I very rarely stream here, so you've got to watch us on Lotus Eaters. I'm on the podcast tomorrow, though. So tune into the podcast tomorrow. Emperor's Champion says, never trust Muslims. In fact, the Spanish Inquisition was a response to Muslims who converted after the Reconquista. They were being subversive. No, it's not true. It was actually Catholic heretics that the Inquisition was actually founded against in the 1200s, but the Spanish Inquisition came slightly after, using the same techniques. But yeah, you are right. They're just a different civilization. Just a different civilization. Minty says, would you consider doing kind of TLDR history series on Lotus Eaters? Kind of chronological summary of the most important events on a specific topic, such as the Roman Empire, the British Isles, etc. I mean, maybe Bo's epochs is brilliant and epic, but I won't lie, it is long. So it's the sort of thing that when you're playing a video game or something, stick that on in the background. It isn't punctual. Thing is, I feel that wouldn't be high enough quality content. Maybe. Well, I'll talk to him and see what he thinks. Chris says, as a poll, apologies to my fellow countrymen and countrywomen, traitors. Looking forward to the impact that Restore Britain has. Yeah, me too. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my throat. But yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Same with Englishmen who convert to Islam. There's a handful of them. I just find it despicable. I can't stand it. Basically view them as traitors. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Restore Britain can do. Sorik says, Jewish mayor is as big a problem as a Muslim mayor. I mean, maybe if they're imposing a specifically Jewish culture, but a lot of Jews really are very American at this point. you know, you see the Orthodox Jews and the secular Jews, very different. I mean, honestly, the secular Jews seem to be progressiving themselves out of existence. Like, what's the birth rate for progressive Jewish people compared to the Orthodox Jewish people? It's got to be dramatic, right? It's got to be like, I mean, how many of them are gay or trans at this point compared to the Orthodox Jews? J. Jonah Jameson, I'm not sure I can read that, which is why you asterisked it, but I see what your point. Matty says, hope family is well. Yes, I'm an Arabic speaker. Oh, interesting. Notice some of your employees tend to pronounce things when they use Arabic that is likely easy to read as crude, hateful gammon. Free consultation. To be honest with you, I think we're just going to be crude, hateful gammons. I don't think we use Arabic all that much, so I think we'll just be wrong. Kent says, don't get too excited, Carl. A district judge will reallocate the money to ICE and give it to an abortion clinic or something. Yeah, they probably will. I mean, honestly, the fight with the judges is the next big thing. It's like, the rule of law should not mean the rule by lawyers. But that thing is, it can easily slide into the rule by lawyers. And obviously that means at the end of the behest of the judges. So this is really a battle that Trump has to fight and has to win as well. Because they just can't be allowed to set policy. That's not their job. And that's not what they were here for. That's not what they were elected for. Colt says, hopefully enough moderates and people on the right for Eric Adams. Well, anyone who's not a Democrat, frankly. David says, Bill Warner made videos on why Islam will defeat the left. Check his channel. It's called Political Islam. He studied Islam in detail. Yeah, well, I'm starting to see it. There are some great case examples that we've just been through where, yeah, it absolutely has defeated the left. So I guess that's the case. I guess I was wrong. I thought that the left would be able to weasel their way through Islam, but apparently not. Magnum North says, people in God's country will not comply. I don't know, man. I think they will. Ahmed 21st says, I have lived near southeast Michigan most of my life. When I wasn't in the active army. It was not out of the ordinary to see Middle Eastern people at the parks and beaches. Growing up, I didn't think it would get this bad. Well, that's the thing. Nobody does think it's going to get that bad. And then suddenly you look around and go, right, why is the call to prayer blasting from this building across the city? Why aren't there bars here? Why are the women all covered up? Why are we living under what is essentially a Sharia-controlled zone? We didn't ever vote for this. This isn't something we asked for. This is something that's been done to us. Magnum, the US is not the UK. Dude, I'm just prophesying because based on what is already happening, there's no reason that it won't carry on. Int Boom says, they don't just set up their own areas. Also, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown. Well, to be honest with you, this is an issue that I've had for a while. Well, I don't like the existence of Chinatowns and Koreatowns and things like that in America. And it's starting to happen here as well. It's like, I just don't think we should allow it. Right? I just don't think we should allow it. This is not acceptable. This isn't what we voted for. And this is not something that we should have done to us. I keep saying it, but like, I genuinely believe it. AI is the answer. I mean, the answer to what? Wassive Manka says, I still find it hard to entertain the idea that all of this is just some accident and happenstance. It just can't be. It's not an accident. The opening of the borders is completely deliberate. They know what they're doing when they open the borders. They're like, we're just going to bring in GDP, right? But it's a free country. You can move wherever you want. And so they arrive and they're just like, okay, well, we're just going to do whatever the hell we like. And it's like, okay, but if you let them do that, then it is natural for people of like to congregate with like. I mean, like I said, the Brits in Spain do exactly the same thing and the Spanish complain about them. It's like, okay, well then vote to do something about them. Deport them if you want. I don't know. It's your country, your choice. Do whatever the hell you like, you know. But we need to get a handle on this ourselves as well. We shouldn't be just allowing this to happen. This is something that has to be arrested, or otherwise you end up giving away your civilization to another civilization without a shot being fired. Magnum again says, Americans love the UK, which is why we don't want you to become a communist Islamic state. Well, I love America as well, which is why I don't want you to become an Islamic state. Like, so pointing at each other, bros, stop becoming Islamic. It's like, God, why can't we just stop becoming Islamic? Like, we don't want this to happen. Subject to Change says the Confederacy was a puppet government of the UK. Of course you love this app. Wow, puppet government's a bit strong, isn't it? I mean, I'm not saying we didn't supply them with men and munitions, but like, I don't know the fact that we supply them with men, definitely munitions and like material, but like, I think puppet government's a bit strong. I think they knew what they were doing. They were doing it on their own. We were just completely in support because fuck the Yankees. Colby says, I've created a plan with my wife over the past week. Support the religious Muslims and give the secular ones somewhere like Toledo and just wall it off. It's not that. They shouldn't be allowed to congregate, right? Like, when someone immigrates to the United States, if they don't already have a job, they should essentially be put in a particular area. Like, okay, you've got to live there amongst those people, so they have to integrate. So there's just no choice, because otherwise you get ethnic colonies, and there's nothing you can do about it. Adam says, I just want to thank you for the work you do. A few months ago, I had my head in the sand, and today I find myself donating to a political movement. Well, we've all got to, man. We've all got to be involved, because it is ignorance that is allowing all of this to carry on around us without our consent. And so we have to be focused. We have to understand that if you are a person in a democracy, then you are a political agent. You have no choice but to be a political agent. Politics is very much concerned with you, even if you're not concerned with politics, as Pericles put it. Anyway, thank you for joining me, folks. I will see you tomorrow on the podcast. So have a great evening, and I'll see you later.